Hi, my name is Rob Gordon. I want to tell you a little bit about a group we're starting for adults with ADHD in the San Diego region, and a little bit about its history and where we hope to go with it. The group started before the pandemic, or I started the group before the pandemic, and at the time there was a very large group on meetup.com called ADHD in San Diego. It had 400 some members. We tried to contact them, a lot of people did, and they simply didn't answer. And they even had automated events where they would just schedule a weekly event, but it was unhosted in some coffee shop. So unfortunately, people would go to that and find themselves all alone, which I think is a really horrible practice. So anyway, we tried several times to get a hold of them. So I just started my own group. It was called Hey Look a Squirrel, and it was a slog building it. We eventually got it up to 40 members on meetup.com, and we had only one real world meeting that was not real well attended. I believe we had 4 or 5 people. It was a good meeting, but not very many people came. The pandemic was coming around that time, so we had 2 virtual meetings, and then everybody was in too many virtual meetings. I just didn't have the heart to continue it. Plus, there's a problem with virtual meetings, and that people from all over the place will show up at them, and I wanted this to be a regional group. So anyway, after the pandemic was over, I tried again. We tried again to contact the group that was called ADHD in San Diego, which was still having these, you know, unhosted meetings that people were going to. Nobody answered my messages. A number of other people tried to call them. They just didn't answer. I believe it was run by a group of professional psychologists. I looked at their history. They only had 2 meetings, at least that they've recorded. So went ahead and kept trying to build my group, and then that group was abandoned. The way Meetup works is that if you abandon a group, you just stop paying for it, they'll release it to their general member community and other people can take it over. So I, of course, jumped at that opportunity. And we have since grown it to about 600 members. Let me show you a screenshot of it. So here's the group on meetup.com. It's called Hey Look a Squirrel. I'm going to change that to just the Squirrels Club. I'll talk about that a little later. Um, Here's the the opening picture. I think I selected this one because this young lady, so photogenic in her red dress. I forgot her name. I'm sorry. She only came to 1 meeting. But let me show you the members section. I'm glad it came up this way because this shows you the members in the date order they joined. So Dr. Barbara Cohen apparently must have been one of the founders way back in 2017. So it's getting pretty old. She hasn't even visited in over 2 years. I'm not saying anything. I don't know who she is. I'm sure she's a perfectly nice person. But if you take this and instead sort by, well, that sorts in reverse chronological order, happened to come up with Jariel, who's one of our most loyal members, but that's just because his name starts with Z. But you can also sort by the date they joined or last visited. So we're still getting new members here. Pete McCall, welcome. Laura Silverstein, welcome. Katie Watkins, welcome. Randy Zeitman, welcome. I won't say welcome to all of them. You get the idea. We've got a lot of people here. They're good people. They're interesting people, creative people. Every race, creed, and color, every profession, every walk of life. We don't have to have diversity programs in our group. It's naturally diverse. So it's just kind of cool. I like it anyway. But I had some real questions about that, whether we really have 600 members. I just don't believe it. We have started, I'm counting as members what we call active members, and those are people who have been to one of our meetings, just one, in whatever time period, 1 or 2 years. We just thought, it's so easy to join a group like this where you just click and you're a member of something. But if you actually take the time and come to a meeting, we know you're real. And, some of our meetings, we have one woman, Kimberly, she's come all the way from Ramona. We have people from East County, from South County. And we really are grateful for that because that has helped make us, we've got a long way to go, but that's helped us get where we're at so far. So let me jump in now and give you a recap of the meetings we've had so far since we did this relaunch. We started in October of last year. We're meeting for the first several meetings at Old Town Saloon in Old Town, which I think is a really good place. Very ADHD friendly place. Not everybody agrees, but there's pool tables there. There's a back room that we can get mostly for ourselves. There's lots of room to roam. I'm not real good at sitting still for a long time, especially when I organize an event. The ADHD gets up and bolts from a seat or whatever they say. In the DSM-5, I actually do that. People have been very understanding, which is nice. But our first meeting was only attended by 5 people total. Uh, 2 of them were myself and a date who was a little bit out of my league, but she was going mostly to see if she could find help for her daughter who does have ADHD. So it was, I think, kind of a pity date. But here's a picture that Sechi snapped for us. And she's very talented at social networking and event management. And she really kind of salvaged this event because I had just really marketed a lot. I'd spammed the crap out of all our members, nearly 600 members at that time. So this is fun. Picture of her, myself, Jariel, one of our more loyal members, has been to almost every meeting. And this guy, I think his name is say Trevor or something. I'm forgetting, but that was his last night in San Diego. He was moving to San Jose. Really nice. He knew a lot about nootropics, which I didn't know much about. Good conversation, small group. Thanks to Sechi, it was kind of a success. So we were happy with this meeting. So our next meeting was in November of 2023, and this was better attended. It was really a fun meeting, very random, very diverse. Here's a group shot we took at the time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do everybody's name here. The very big man on the top right, gosh, I'm forgetting. I think his name is Steve. He probably tried to get in the back. As I recall, we were really rushed. And I think people that are big, like he's linebacker size, know to do that. I recently organized an event, or not recently, a couple years ago, I organized an event with Barbara Bry, who had been a mayoral candidate here in San Diego, and she's a very petite woman. And I look huge in the picture. I was embarrassed because it was mostly women, and I looked like I was just hogging the picture. I just wanted to say that he was not doing that. He's a very nice guy. Sorry I forgot your name. I think it's Steve, but I'm probably wrong. So continuing from left to right in the top row, next we have Rajesh giving some kind of sign. Is that a loser sign? No, I don't know what that sign is. Somebody tell me. And Kimberly with a nice smile. There's me in the red checkered plaid shirt looking very fat. I guess have to go back on keto because in all these pictures I look fat. Vivian, very nice woman. I've gotten to know a little bit, not as much as I'd like to. And the last row in the suit, I think his name is Oz. I hope I've got that right. Bottom row, we have Senchi, then Glenn, and Jariel. So this was a fun meeting. A few of the people that came did get some pool games in. Here is a shot of Kimberly flirting with Oz and someone else. I might be embellishing a little bit. I really don't know if she's flirting. She's probably just talking. And here's a great group shot that Sechi took. It's just a really cool picture. So our next meeting was in December, also at the Old Town Saloon. It was also fairly well attended. The meetup invitation RSVP list says 24. There weren't nearly that many. There's always a good deal more than really happened. But there's also more than the group picture shows. So here's our group picture from this meetup. From left to right, on the far right is me holding a drink. Behind me is Chris, looking pensive for some reason. Next to Chris, Sechi. And then in front, in the white blouse, is Terry, who's been very helpful with the group. Next to Terry is Brigitte, also very friendly person, been very helpful. The woman in the red dress, the mysterious woman in the red dress, I think her name is M, but I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Next to her is Betsy. Next to Betsy is Jariel. The guy in the green shirt, I think his name is Peter. I'm not positive. The man in the leather jacket on the far right, I'm not positive his name either. I do remember he had a really good sense of humor. He's funny, but I don't remember his name. Again, I could probably dig it up by looking for 3 hours. I'd rather not do that right now. This was a fun meeting. For our introductions this time, we played a name remembering game, something I learned at a Sierra Club meeting a long time ago, where you say your name and then you um, associate it with a dish you're going to bring to a potluck. So I was Rob. I brought the shish kebab, and somebody else either rhymes with your name or starts with the same letter, and then you have to go back around and name everybody's name. We actually did pretty good. And we also played a game of ADHD bingo, which was one of Sechi's innovations, which had different ADHD traits. And if you got the cross patch on it, you got the yell bingo. We didn't have any prizes, unfortunately. But so it was a fun meeting. We had to meet each other and a lot of randomness, kinds of things we like. Since these meetings have been fun and relatively successful, we decided to do another meetup at the Old Town Saloon, also in meet and greet format. So this was in January of this year. On the far left, I forget that man's name is Peter. I remember he's a real nice guy. Pretty sure it's Peter. Next to him is Betsy, who's been one of our now regular members, very supportive member. Then Maggie, also starting to be a regular member, also very supportive. Brigitte, who's again, I'm sorry to repeat myself, also a member who's been just very friendly, very supportive, really helped the group out. Jariel, as I mentioned before, our most reliable member, been to almost every meeting. Terry, also big help. She's actually hosted one of our meetings, which has been great. The man next to her, I couldn't find his name. I could probably find it with, I'm a little bit disorganized, as you might imagine. I could probably find it with some research. I just remember he was really nice and friendly, so I'll find it later and maybe post an update or something. Let's see. Next to Terry is Ian, who actually has an ADHD coaching practice. He also hosted one of our meetings. Nice resource to have in our group. Woman in back there, I think her name's Angie. I'm not completely positive. Um, and then in front of Angie, there's me. And then on the far right, that's James, who hosted our most recent meeting in Ocean Beach. We'll talk about that in a bit. So other than the ADHD bingo, this was mostly an unstructured meeting, but some spontaneous conversations did develop, even though the acoustics is really pretty bad in Old Town Saloon. And also people got to play pool. It was in general a fun meeting. The guy you see in the middle of this playing pool here, talking to James, that's Ian, who I mentioned before. He has an ADHD coaching practice. And at this point, I was looking for some help. I don't want this all to be about me. It's going to fail eventually if it's all about me. Really, my main goal is to make this sustainable. And so I asked for volunteers to help, and he stepped right up to the plate and offered to host the next meeting. And I was totally grateful for that. And we also decided to change the venue. So at the request of a few of our members, in February, we met at Lestat's, which is a popular cafe in Hillcrest. I'm going to stop naming all the people, or trying to name all the people, because I keep screwing up, and also this video is getting a little long. But we had a really good conversation here. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the way ADHD manifests in different people. We're all the same in many ways, and we're all different in many ways. That's a lot of new people came to this because it's convenient for a lot of people, and it was a really interesting meeting. And Ian ran the meeting with Terry helping him. They gave me a much-needed break, which was really appreciated, and it was a good, interesting meeting. So in March of this year, we decided to just meet at Lestat's again. Once you've planned an event for one place, it's kind of easiest to just keep going. We called this meeting a roundtable discussion, and this time we actually did get a roundtable. There's only a few of them in Lestat's. And it was a good meeting. It was a little disjointed. A couple people were late. One of our members had a death in the family. But we did go deep this time, which we'd never really done before. Some people told about their experience in the mental health arena, some real horror stories. Ian was able to share some really good tips on uh, performance with ADHD, getting over the things we're not good at and doing things we are good at a little bit better. So that was interesting. It was a good deal. We got to know each other a little bit better. I'd like to have more meetings like this. I do want to say we went there partly for the acoustics. Still not great. We have never had good acoustics ever. Maybe that doesn't exist unless you're in a boardroom, which would drive a lot of us crazy. But this was a good meeting. It was an interesting meeting. I like going to that part of town. I live in the beach area. It's fun. It's different from it's way different from the beach area going to Hillcrest. So I enjoy doing it, and of course seeing everybody was great again, and getting a break because Ian and Terry ran it again, and getting a break for myself, much needed, and again much appreciated. So for our April meeting, I wanted to change our venues. I liked Lestat's. It was a little bit claustrophobic to me. It was okay for conversations, not great. I just thought we shouldn't keep doing the same things. We might go back there one of these days. But partly as a cop out, partly as just laziness, I decided to have an outdoor meeting also in Hillcrest. We met at the Hub Hillcrest, which is right in the shopping center there, where I think Ralph's and Trader Joe's is. And there's a few tables and chairs outdoors in this area. We decided to meet there. Our topic this time was our superpowers, and we do have some. The ones I have heard most commonly mentioned are, of course, creativity, out of the box thinking. Some people say, yeah, we do out of the box thinking because sometimes you're not even aware there was a box. um, uh, of course, problem solving is also mentioned, with the joke being that we cause so many problems that we get pretty good at solving them. I know, speaking for myself, I always exhaust every wrong possibility before I find the right one. So when someone asks me for advice on something, I know all the wrong ways to do it. Um, Most people have foresight. It's really good. You kind of know what is going to happen next. Uh, uh, some people call that seeing around corners, which really does sound like a superpower. But I think it's just the way our minds kind of just regurgitate and analyze every possible angle of things, that you do see future possibilities, threats, and opportunities that other people can't see. Another one is humor and a sense of the absurd, and I think that's just because of our lives, the way we live. We have to. That's a survival mechanism. Most people do have some kind of sense of humor. It can be offbeat, it can be sarcastic, but most of us have a good sense of humor of some kind. And the last one, maybe a superpower, maybe not, but most people have some. In fact, almost all adults with ADHD uh, at some time experience hyperfocus, where you get so involved in a project that you just simply can't do anything else. My own theory is it's where interest and importance collide. We're driven by interest, and then occasionally we find something we're interested in that also just happens to be important, and then we work our asses off on that. It's both a curse and a blessing. So I wanted to discuss that at this meeting. Again, acoustics always a problem. I did more talking at this meeting than I wanted to, just kind of an open air. It was a good meeting. People talked, people shared a lot. I got totally hoarse by the end of the meeting because I was shouting the whole time. I normally do not want to put myself in the center stage on these meetings. Still an interesting meeting. We took a chance with an outdoor meeting. I wouldn't mind doing that again. I would like there to be more mingling, but still a lot of people came, a lot more than they're shown in this picture. Special shout out to, I think her name is Lauren, who was not in the picture, who didn't want to be photographed, but did take this picture for us because my camera was really awful. That brings us up to the May meeting. I wanted to do something a little different, something a little more fun. And I knew on the channel, the Mission Bay channel that separates Ocean Beach from Mission Beach, there were a few like cafes and bars. So I just looked it up. I didn't go there. I looked it up. There's one called Aquarius Bar and Grill. And Thursdays just happened to be a reggae night there. And I thought, why not? That sounds good. So it took a little bit of a risk, and I went for it. I knew it was going to be loud. I talked to the bartender before, and she said it would probably be acceptable. She said we could either meet inside or at one of the farther tables outside. So when we went there, we first tried to go inside, and that just wasn't going to work. And somebody suggested, I think it was Maggie, suggested we go outside. And it was a fun meeting. It was loud, but it was fun. There was still a lot of good conversation. We didn't take very many good pictures. Uh, my camera just isn't very good. And the ones I took showed people on their phones. And somebody pointed out, I think again it was Maggie, pointed out that, listen, we weren't just talking on our phones or checking our messages. We were exchanging contact information. But it looks like people are just browsing the social media. So I didn't get a number of good good pictures. Here's a picture of Wesley showing off his robotic hand, which is pretty cool. I could talk a long time about that because by coincidence I have a project called Glass Hand, which is a homage to a science fiction movie I saw like 60 years ago. I never thought I'd get old enough to say 60 years ago about anything. But it was called Demon with the Glass Hand. It was about a guy who had, Robert Culp actually, had a glass hand that would tell him what to do next. So I kind of have an idea, conceptual phase AI project, where you'd have a device that would tell you what to do next. Also, since I couldn't get any new good pictures, I did manage to take a 5-second video. So people were just yakking away. It was a fun meeting. Not a great place to meet every month, but it was fun to do something different. I really enjoyed it. I think other people did as well. So that brings us up to last month and our most recent meeting in June in Ocean Beach, which we've never been to before. We met at a place that was recommended by James and Kathy, two of our members who are a couple or our partners, or whatever the politically correct way to say that is these days. And they knew of a place called Nova Easy Kombucha. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a fermented tea from China. And they mentioned a large, underutilized room in the back. And boy, were they right. It is a huge room, and it's hardly used at all. So we had practically the whole place to ourselves, which was kind of cool. It was a good meeting. It was a little long. I ran it this time. I wanted to talk about people's experience with psychologists and psychiatrists because I had a really, really horrible experience with a psychiatrist who was just a criminal. I won't go into that here. Yeah, he wasn't my psychiatrist, by the way. I have to really drive home that point. So we had a discussion on that. I learned quite a bit from that. And then we played ADHD trivia. I wanted to, I worked with AI for a while, and I came up with trivia questions that were like either multiple choice or true and false, very factual things about ADHD. And I had this vision that I would ask the questions, and people would like patiently write down the answers, and everybody would wait, and boy, that did not happen at all. Ever since I started this group, I've joked about us interrupting each other and talking over each other, but nobody really does it. We've kind of learned as adults not to do that. People's ADHD came out in full force during this ADHD trivia. It was kind of ridiculous. People were shouting out the answers right before we even asked the question. They were shouting them out. I was disorganized too. The whole thing was a giant mess, but it was sort of fun. It was interesting anyway. We'd like to go back there. It was great having that big of a room, but in a way, it was kind of the best of both worlds. We had a huge room. The acoustics, we've never had good acoustics ever. So the acoustics wasn't great. We had this huge room. Be good for a party or to do something different in, maybe, if we can get away with it next time. But that is a recap of all our meetings thus far. We've had a long journey since starting in Old Town Saloon with 4 people or whatever, to a good turnout, people starting to know each other. We have a long way to go, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit as well. So since I started this group in October, officially started in October of last year, there's a few things I've been really consistent on saying. One is our goals. Our goal is to develop an interconnected network of adults with ADHD in the San Diego region. San Diego region, say it's San Diego County. It's huge, which creates problems, but also opportunities, because we are one of the few really big counties that has boundaries also. To the north, we've got Pendleton. To the south, Excuse me, we've got the Mexican border, the ocean to the west, and mountains to the east. So it's kind of still contained. Having real world meetings, people have come from really far to meet us. It's a problem, but also a big opportunity. Um, I forget how many exact number of people in the adults in the county is, a couple million. If you do the envelope calculation, say um, adults with ADHD, say they're approximately 5% of the population, according to the World Health Organization, 84%. That means there's 100,000 of us in this area. 100,000. Imagine what we could do together. So that's one thing. And by interconnected network, I mean we're never all going to be friends. I mean, that's impossible. And we wouldn't want to be. You can't be friends with everybody. But you can have friends that know friends, and we can develop a network, or I hope we can develop a network where you can get resources, help, friends, entertainment, um, whatever. We look at the world differently. We see the world differently. We need to connect with each other. It's difficult to even meet a few other adults with ADHD. So if we can put something together to make that happen, it could be really extraordinary. So an interconnected network of adults with ADHD is what we want to do. The second thing that's really, really important to me, I want to do it ourselves. I've been telling people we want to build a community. Right now we're maybe a group. I don't even want a group. I get kicked out of groups. But I want to build an ADHD community, and I want us to do it. I want to be able to be truthful when I say this is a community run by and for adults with ADHD. If we need some psychologists or some mental health professionals to come in and pearl before swine, help us do it, as far as I'm concerned, that is a huge defeat. It's insulting. We can do it. I know we can do it. We do need some help. It reminds me of a quote I heard about my own ethnic background, partly Irish, and it's something like this. He said, God invented the Irish, or created the Irish, and then he created or invented whiskey to keep them from taking over the world. Well, of course, the implications are like the Irish could really kick ass if they didn't drink so much. I think it's kind of something similar for us. God created people with ADHD, or nature created people with ADHD, and then he made it somehow impossible for us to work together to prevent us taking over the world. If we could, we just might take over the world, or maybe not the whole world, but we could certainly have a lot of influence. We have people in every walk of life, in every profession, in every business, every race, every ethnicity, every age. And we could have, for want of a better word, embeds in every little organization everywhere. I need your help to do this. I'm a single point of failure, and I have ADHD. And there's a few times I've come close to meltdowns, or I have melted down, and members have come to rescue me. When people stepped in and helped do the hosting, some of the earlier meetings, that was a Rob rescue operation. We've come close a couple other times, but I want to forge a vision for our future to really have the best network ever, where we do meet in person, also have virtual systems, and we need your help, whatever kind of help you can give. Don't wait to see what we need, because we need everything. If you're a community developer, if you know anything about technology, if you're good at just meeting people, anything, whatever your skills are, we will fit it in. So just let us know if you want to help us. We'd love your help. We'd love your involvement. We are meeting now on the second Thursday of each month in real time, some real world meeting. We want to keep that up as long as we can, because that's connecting in real life. That's kind of priceless. And then we've just recently started having virtual meetings on the fourth Thursday of each month. They're not really taking off yet. I have what I call the active members, who people have been to one of our meetings. That's only about 30 people. That's why I said earlier that 600 number of people in the meetup group, I don't really believe. But 30 is not a bad start. If we can build on that, it's only been 9 months since we started. If we could keep this going for another 9 months, we would at least double it, and probably more. So we would love your involvement. The most easy way to get involvement right now, just come to one of our meetings. We'll be meeting next month. We'll be going to where we started, Old Town Saloon. Very informal and structured meeting next Thursday. whatever that date is. I'm not going to look it up now. Yeah, I better. Thursday, was that the 13th of July? If you don't make this one, some future meeting, we are going to open it up to the virtual meetings to everybody pretty soon. We'll need your contact information for that. That's really important too. Um, but we would love to have your involvement. We we need you. You're our tribe. So come join your tribe. Your tribe needs you. Come and join us. Join the Squirrels Club. Uh, Second Thursday of each month. We really hope to meet you. We really look forward to meeting you. We really need you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this video. And more than anything, thank you for your attention.